はい、皆さん、チャンネルへようこそ。今日はですね、特別にこちら、スティーブさんがいらっしゃいます。Steve, thank you so much for inviting us. So you are the owner of Troy Industry.
Yes.
You actually came up on my channel during the SHOT Show when I was able to interview you back then. So thank you so much. So we're in Nashville, Tennessee.
Just north of Nashville, about 45 minutes.
Right. And you know, people in Japan used to, you know, Troy's been big, right? And they know you as Massachusetts company, right? And we're gonna get into もちろんね、この話はもっとレンジに行ってから今話しますけども、今からこれからね、スティーブさんが、我々をね、射撃場に連れてっていただいて、トロイの銃をね、実際に撃ってきます。ですね、今からね、射撃場に行きます。Okay, let's go to the range. Which model is this?
That's a Defender 11.5 with Cryptos.
Defender. How long is the barrel?
11.5.
11.5. All right. 11.5 suppressed. Yeah. Woo. It's getting warm. Yeah. You know, the recoil is super manageable. That's crazy. Awesome. Wow. So this one is which gun?
PSW.
PSW, personal survival weapon. Correct. And then the barrel size is
It's 7.5 inch.
7.5, and then there's a suppressor right here.
Correct.
Right inside the handguard.
Yes.
The pretty neat. All right. And here's 20 rounds, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, suppressed. Give off. It gets pretty hot.
It does.
Yeah, the recoil is super manageable.
Yeah.
right, so this is our Troy Mark 11 sniper rifle system. It's an 18-inch match barrel with the Troy TPRS suppressor. The suppressor is extremely quiet. It's completely ear safe. Parts compatibility are along the lines of the M110 and Mark 11 and SR25. It was developed through the government contract CSAT. We didn't win the contract on a rifle, but we did get in the contract on our offset folding sight, so all the HKs have that now.
Okay.
Super reliable, super accurate rifle. We also do them in a 20-inch bull barrel and a 16-inch, and then a 14-inch heavy patrol rifle and the 12.5-inch vehicle interdiction gun. That's our Mark 11 series.
All right.
Some of the features on it are the M-LOK free float, our Troy super grade scope mounting system, which is a modular scope mount, our Numa charging handle, V5's marksman stock, and the Ergo Tactical Deluxe grip, which is a little fatter in your hand. It's easier to get a better trigger pull with that. The scope that we're using here is the Voodoo 5-25. It also has the laser rangefinder on it and a PEC 15 on the side. If you flip that over, when you're in a prone position, it's a lot easier as a marksman to be able to reach up and manipulate your laser optics and your optics from the prone here, as opposed to having a pressure pad or a button out front. So that provides us a little more convenience while firing.
How long distance do you think you can shoot with?
So we've had a team of 7 go up to Cedar Creek Precision, and they were hitting 32-inch steel first round, 7 out of 10 shooters at 1,400 yards. It's insane. But to be fair though, we had 3 SF snipers from 5th Group that set the guns up, and their comment was, it is transonic, but it's predictable. It's dope. And they were able to dial it in and be able to do that. But typically with an 18-inch barrel, we'd say that the really 800 meters and in is a great distance where you have reliable accuracy for man-sized targets all the way out that. But as a 1 MOA gun, it pretty much will do across the board.
Right. Sweet. Is this trigger from Troy as well?
No, that's LaRue's actually flat face trigger.
Okay.
LaRue machines his triggers from solid billet.
Yeah.
They're the most reliable match grade trigger on the market.
Cool, yeah.
And we've used others like SSAs and things like that, but they're MIM cast, and we've had breakages. So that's absolutely unacceptable on a rifle that's required for in extremist type situations.
All right, so I'm gonna shoot this without a ear pro.
Yeah. Absolutely.
では今からこれ打っていきたいと思います。Thumb on the bolt.
Thumb on the bolt carrier and just push it in. There you go.
The recoil is super manageable. So Steve, what is this gun that Tracy's holding?
This is the vehicle interdiction gun. It's a 12.5-inch barreled Mark 11 308 or 7.62 with our Kryptos suppressor, and it's extremely reliable and short. And it is an ear-safe can. I'll tell you, if we change the spring in that might actually cycle. Just, let's see.
Sweet.どうですリコイル的に軽い
すごいね、やっぱこれ持ちやすい、このやっぱイカグリップ。
And then this riser is Troy riser.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the whole rifle's Troy except for the scope.
Okay,
And the
okay.
and the brace.
And then you designed it so that even with the Troy,
Yeah, so
Iron
you
sight
got your
Boyd.
tritium sights that you can see beneath it.
right?
All the Troy TPR rifles come with tritium night sights.
Okay, okay. And then this is available for civilian market as well.
Yeah, as the Defender.
Okay, that's a Defender. Okay. Steve, which gun is this?
So this is the Troy TPR or Defender series. It's an 11.5 inch gun that's engineered to be a suppressed gun. It'll fire fine without suppressor, but it's an 11.5 barrel with the Kryptos can. Some of the features on it: ambi safety, enhanced trigger guard, the Pneuma charging handle, the Troy super grade scope mount, which is a modular. I can place these rings anywhere on this base. They bolt in, and then I have flanges on all over it for accessory mounting. The squid grips on the inside of the cooling holes, or M-locks, is a thermal barrier. And then we have our Ergo grip and V5 stock and the Troy T-sling. And this is an ear-safe suppressor.
辻さん、これもうね、イヤープラグ外してもらっても全然いいと思います。どうですリコイル？軽い。はい、ということでね、今こちらまた工場に帰ってきましたけども、今こちらまたスティーブさんがいらっしゃいます。今からね、トロイの歴史、またこういうふうにどういうような工場をね、建てられたかという質問をしていきたいと思います。Alright, so Steve, first of all, yeah, I wanted to ask you a background, how you got into, this gun business and all that stuff. So, yeah.
So I started life in the National Guard when I was 17 years old. I had my parents sign for me to go in. It was the Air National Guard. I instantly got into the weapons program with security forces. We had, at the time, M16s, 38 revolvers, and XM148 grenade launchers, M79s, and some M14 drill rifles. So it was the very basis of the M16, like the non-forward assist.
Right.
Very quickly, we went to the A2s, the Berettas, the remodification of the Beretta. We got in eventually 249s, 240s. I'd gone to several schools for small arms. I served as a unit armorer.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was pursuing a career on the outside in law enforcement.
Okay.
At some point, I went to the Air Force Reserve, and I got activated like everybody else did during 9/11, and I got put in Space Command, which is now the Space Force. And that was a great experience there, serving a little bit active duty, then being assigned to an active duty unit until I retired. In my civilian side, I was a local police officer in Amherst, Massachusetts. I was top gun in my academy class. I had gone through a couple sniper schools while I was there, a CQB school, and always like with a firearms focus. So I was top gun in the State Police Academy next, and I had gotten some other achievements while I was going through in firearms related. Some of the things that I saw I didn't like the folding sights at the time that were brand new to like SF. They didn't stay up. They could fall down.
Really?
It was single aperture. A lot of guys were duct taping them in place to keep them up. So that's when I designed the folding sights, and that was my first product. Then slings, then handguards, and eventually 890 products. We hit about 112 employees, and it was time for me to look at being a CEO full-time instead of being on the midnight shift with state police.
Wait, so you were working as state police
On the midnight shift.
in the midnight shift while you were started to run the company?
Yes.
Wow.
And I did that for years. I actually had like gun case foam under my desk at Troy, and I would park my cruiser in the back, change my uniform in the building, and then a couple hours under my desk sleep, and then at it as a CEO by day. And then for about 50 to 60 days a year, I would disappear with the military. So as my kids became teenagers, I get over 100 employees, and I got into a group called the Young Presidents Organization, and I was assigned to a forum. And my forum mates had asked me, like, you've got a really successful business and a very good family. Why are you still doing all this? And then I went to my son's first grade class on Parents' Night, and he had wrote something about his family like all the other kids. He wrote, "My dad has 3 jobs and I never get to see him." So that was it. I retired from the state police, total of 23 and a half years, and I retired from the military 22 years, and then did this full time.
Okay. So how much sleep were you getting while you're doing something like that?
3 hours for 4 hours a day.
And then you weren't seeing your family at all?
The kids would go to school in the morning with their mom, and then I would see them in the evening for a few hours, but I would take a couple hours to sleep before I went back to the midnight shift.
So that's when you decided that you're gonna take on the full.
Yeah, I wanted to have some more time with my kids, and I absolutely wanted to focus my attention on Troy.
Okay.
And then, we boomed after that because I was no longer a zombie at work. I was actually able to really take everything in, and through my training in the YPO, I was able to make some really good changes, hire some really good team members, and we just went crazy at that point.
So, rewinding a little bit before that, even before you got into the force, were you always interested in firearms? Is that why you got? Okay.
So when I was a kid, I had a friend of mine, Tom Case, and he had an AR-180 and and an AK. And then it was kind of the arms race between the two of us. And I ended up getting a Colt 6601 and Combat Elite Smith or a Colt 45, and that kind of launched me. My dad was a hunter, like not an excessive kind of guy. He wasn't into military guns at all, but I had an interest in the mechanical side of it, like how the guns worked. It wasn't really the shooting that it was interesting me, as like the mechanical, and that's what my family business is, auto mechanics. My dad had 2 gas stations growing up, and so I was working from the time I was 5, whether cleaning up around the station or changing brakes at 10. Just mechanically inclined from
so that's where your engineering side came from.
Yep. And I did a lot of cool things with it when I was in the military. I was always the guy that would figure out how to pack up for like deployment, or do pallets, or configure gear, that kind of thing. The interest really took off probably, I would say, in my mid-20s, and then by the time 9/11 rolled around, I had a really big interest in doing something that would lead to a retirement opportunity part-time, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing.
Okay, so you guys became pretty big in Massachusetts. That's where you had your original plant, right? And then you had to move down to this Tennessee location. Can you tell us what was the motivation for the move?
Well, there's 2 things involved with that. One, Massachusetts attempted to pass a law to ban the manufacture of rifles, semi-automatic rifles, and standard capacity magazines. That would put us out of business. So that was A. B, we had gotten a large contract of $104 million for a foreign military. It was internal security weapons, and the country was on the authorized list. Everything was great, good to go. At the last minute, they said they needed a letter, and it's the State Department, 1 paragraph saying that an MOD was aware of the order. We sent someone over to get the letter, and they were hit for a $500,000 cash bribe. So we said, okay, backed out, called State Department, said, hey, you requiring this letter is not required by this country's constitution or this policy, but this policy that State Department has held since the 1990s, it was triggering corruption. So they said, we can't do anything about it, call a congressman. We called every congressman, senator, and governor in the 3-state area that we had vendors in, and Massachusetts. Not one return phone call from any of the politicians. We got 1 staffer for a local congressman, and that's all we could get to. We couldn't get a meeting with him, nothing. And we realized we're not getting any representation here. So I contacted a friend overseas, and he says, you need to talk to Mark Green. And I was like, who's Mark Green? He says he's a congressman in Tennessee. So within 15 minutes, I'm talking to Mark Green, and he invites us to Clarksville. So we came to Clarksville. They literally had 30 people sitting at the table, bankers, insurance agents, builders, the state, the TVA, the county, the mayors for the county, the mayors for the city, and they were all there to see us through a smooth transition and moving to Clarksville. And that's what really, we looked at several states, Wyoming, South Carolina, Texas, Texarkana, Georgia, Florida, but Tennessee came in so strong that we couldn't say no. Then, we found our farm, which you saw today, and we had already decided at that point that we're coming. And it's been 4 years, and it was the best move we ever did. Just to give you an example, I feel, and I've told you, that I have the best team that I've ever had. And we've had great people for the last 23 years. Our team members that we've had at Troy have normally been long tenured and just dedicated, to the point where when we moved here, we had 15 of them come here to train the replacements, just to see us succeed. We offered them all chances to move down here, and we said we'd pay for the move. But life, grandkids, kids, family ties.
Right.
This team, this particular team, we've had 3 ISO audits since we've been here. We've had no findings on these audits, which is rare. Normally you'll have a minor finding.
Right.
If you have a major, you have about 30 days to correct it.
Yeah.
So our ISO 9001 shows that I've got the best team that we've ever had.
Yeah. You
And
mentioned that 80% of your workforce is
military.
ex-military.
Yeah, veterans. Yeah. And that's important because I don't have to convince them why it's important that these guns are perfect and they have to work every time.
Yeah,
And
they've experienced it.
they've experienced it. They don't want, they know what a failure would be. A click versus a bang is death for them. So that helps greatly. And the other thing that we find is that our pool that we have to draw from is huge because we have Fort Campbell right up the street. 400 people a month discharge from Fort Campbell. So we absolutely give them the best opportunities to come in first. We also teamed with TCAT, the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, which is 1 mile from here, and they teach the machining and welding and everything that we need to have. One thing to say about Troy is we are a weapons center for excellence here. That's all we do. We are a manufacturer of weapons. We don't do odd jobs. We are weapons focused, period. And this has led to us having unbelievable opportunities. In the last 23 years, we've gotten dozens of patents from suppressors to rifles to accessories, and that would not have been possible without the people that we've had. But it's also the opportunities that we've had have also been fed by that. And we're doing business in 48 countries. We have an excellent export compliance team. We just recently were issued NSN numbers for our full auto carbines and our crypto suppressor. Recoil magazine just came out that our 5.56 Cryptos is the quietest, shortest suppressor in the industry, which was an unbelievable honor to get that.
Which we've tested at your range today,
Yeah.
right? 本当にね、ものすごく静かでね、ほんまイヤーワフつけなくても全然、もう会話できる程度の音さ、びっくりしました。
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that again is a testament to the people that are here,
Right.
our team that developed that.
Okay. Sweet. So, I personally fell in love with that personal survival weapons.
Yeah.
Right? Defender, as you
Yeah.
call it. Right? Yeah. So, I'm definitely going to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
Question. Do you carry every day?
I do.
Okay. So, which position do you prefer?
I carry right hip.
Okay. Got it. Do you also carry one in the chamber, or do you...
I do. Yeah.
Why do you think that's important?
Faster reaction time, and it's also the way I've trained as a police officer for the last 30-something years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you recommend civilians to carry one in the chamber, or?
I do if they have the training to support it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so.
I just worry that in a fight, especially a gunfight, it's a fight. And if you've already taken a round and you're one-handed at that point, maybe you got shot in an arm or shoulder, you really have to think about how you're going to manipulate that pistol to get that slide back. Whereas if you practice the fundamentals of safety and had proper instruction on carry, draw, and keeping that finger outside the trigger guard, no problem. The only thing that we're seeing a lot of, and through police departments and seeing videos of, there's a pistol out there now that's popular that's going off in a holster.
Yeah.
And I've seen the videos myself where people are just walking, no contact, and it goes off and shoots the officers in the leg. That's something that I've never seen happen in a Glock. I've never seen happen in Smith & Wesson. I've never seen happen in an FN. I've never heard of it happening in any of those. And so I feel that those are safe pistols to carry. That's where you'll find me. My state police duty gun was the M&P 45. I shoot really well with it. I was top gun in the academy, and then I've always been, firearms centered. So I see that as a great gun for my purposes of going back and forth to the Northeast or going to California under Leosa. It's a 10-round mag, so I can carry that everywhere. So that's my preferred carry gun.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So, people might think that, hammer gun versus striker fire. A lot of people think the striker, because you can't see the inside of a striker fire, they think that it's much easier to go off. But
yeah, I could understand that.
Right. But if you fully understand the structure inside of striker fire, for example, like Glock, virtually impossible to go off like the certain firearms that we were talking about, right? Yeah.
Now, Glock, M&P, the FNs, striker fires are consistent single-stage trigger pulls.
Right.
And you're going to have the best accuracy out of that, where the traditional DA, SA, or even DA only, you're not going to have the accuracy because you're fighting an 8 to 12-pound trigger pull, where most trigger pulls come in around 5. It's very easy to train somebody on it and hit accurately.
Yeah. Last question. If you have a choice between 9mm and 45, 9mm being 17 rounds in the magazine, 45 being 10 rounds, let's say. Which one would you choose?
45 for indoors. One reason it's subsonic. So you're not getting that tremendous crack coming out of it.
Right.
Also, the 45 is depositing 230 grains of lead on a target at one time. It's equivalent of 2 9mm rounds. I do believe, though, that you choose the gun that you can actually hit with, because I believe that shot placement is far more important than caliber.
Right.
Yeah.
Because on average, I think the self-defense cases, a lot of them were below 5 rounds. Right.
Yeah, and the average shot is within 7 yards.
Right.
And the average miss ratio is 70%.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
70%.
Yeah, like people getting into gunfights, not a lot of rounds will connect because of the adrenaline and everything else.
Yeah. Do you carry hollow point?
Yes.
Okay. That's much safer option, right?
Well, it was my issued ammunition, so that's what I'm familiar with, comfortable with.
Yeah.
And the ballistics research shows me that it's effective to stop somebody. And that's what we're interested in. We're not interested in killing someone. I just want them to stop their action.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks
been
for
a
spending the
pleasure.
day with us. Yeah.
どうもありがとうございました。